Why did Britain forget this royal beauty and her magnificent jewels? As a young woman, she searched for gold in Africa. Years later, she secretly made her way into Afghanistan, long before such adventures were expected of a royal duchess. During the Second World War, while much of Europe burned, she worked with the Red Cross and devoted herself to the war effort. She rose to some of the highest positions available to women in the British Armed Forces, eventually attaining the rank of Air Vice Marshal. In Australia, she became a familiar figure during her husband's term as Governor-General and was appointed to the Women's Auxiliary Australian Air Force. Later, she would serve as deputy to Queen Elizabeth, the wife of George VI, as Commandant-in-Chief of the Nursing Corps. She was sister-in-law to two kings, aunt to a queen, the bride whose little attendants were Princess Elizabeth and Princess Margaret. She witnessed abdication, war, triumph and tragedy, and became the longest-lived royal in British history, dying at the remarkable age of 102. She possessed an astonishing collection of heirloom jewels, larger than some collections belonging to reigning royal houses. Many of those treasures remain in the hands of her descendants today. And yet, despite a life filled with adventure, service and extraordinary longevity, she's become one of the most overlooked women in royal history. Her name was Lady Alice Christabel Montagu. Douglas Scott married Prince Henry, Duke of Gloucester, the third son of King George V and Queen Mary. And perhaps that is the mystery this story asks. How did a woman who travelled across continents, served the crown through 6 reigns, and safeguarded one of the greatest private jewellery collections in the royal family become a figure almost lost to memory? Princess Alice spent an entire century standing in the shadow of the crown and quietly devoted her life to it after the sudden demise of her elder son that changed her life forever. Today, we talk about her jewels passed down through Queen Mary and her husband. The Diamond Knot Brooch. There is a brooch that appears in portrait after portrait of Princess Alice, Duchess of Gloucester, pinned with the quiet confidence of something that belongs, not borrowed for the occasion, not rotated through the ceremonial wardrobe, but chosen again and again because it meant something, a ribbon tied in a knot. It was a wedding gift. Prince Henry placed it in her hands in 1935, and she never really put it down. The brooch dates to around the 1860s, made decades before either of them was born, which is part of what makes it extraordinary. At its centre sits an old mine-cut diamond of approximately 5 carats, the antique cut, with its high crown and small table, that catches candlelight differently from a modern stone, softer somehow, more interior. Below it hangs a fringe of 6 pear-shaped diamonds, together weighing approximately 8.20 carats, and around the openwork ribbon that gives the piece its name, circular cut diamonds totaling approximately 16.00 carats more. The whole thing weighs, on paper, around 29 carats of diamonds. In the hand, it must have felt like holding a small piece of the 19th century. She wore it to galas. She wore it for portraits. What happened next is a quiet tragedy, never passed to Birgitte, the Duchess of Gloucester, sold in the settling of her estate after her death in 2004. In 2012, it appeared at Sotheby's Hong Kong, lot 1759. It sold for £151,007 to a buyer whose name was not recorded. Death duties have a way of doing what wars and revolutions and the passage of reigns could not. It is gone. The portrait remains, and in it, pinned just where she always wore it, the Iveagh Tiara. There is a tiara that Queen Mary could not bring herself to give away while she was still alive. That alone should tell you something. It had been a wedding gift, presented to her by the Earl and Countess of Iveagh at the moment her life changed forever, and for the entirety of her long reign she kept it close. When she finally died in 1953, she made a decision that was, by the standards of royal inheritance, quietly radical. She did not leave it to the direct line. She did not leave it to the Queen Mother, and who, history suggests, might not have left it entirely alone. She left it to Princess Alice, Duchess of Gloucester. Remarkably, it is one of the very few significant pieces in Queen Mary's entire collection that was never broken down. The tiara itself is almost impossible to describe without reaching for architecture. Kokoshnik in shape, it rises from the head in a tightly packed network of diamond scrolls and trailing foliage, working so densely that almost no negative space survives between the stones. It does not glitter so much as radiate. Up close, the scrollwork reveals itself as a feat of Victorian or Edwardian craftsmanship that the modern world has largely lost the patience to replicate. Princess Alice wore it. She wore it on grand occasions with the unself-conscious authority of someone who understood that it is a continuation of history, of the women who came before. And when her time with it was done, she passed it to her daughter-in-law Birgitte, the current Duchess of Gloucester. Birgitte reserved it for special events entirely, brought out for portraits, and then, in 2008, for perhaps the most purely joyful reason a tiara can be removed from its case. Her younger daughter, Lady Rose Windsor, was getting married. 3 women, 1 tiara, not a single stone moved, but perhaps that is precisely the point. The Emerald and Diamond Bandeau Tiara. When Lady Alice Montague Douglas Scott became the Duchess of Gloucester, her husband offered her a treasury. 2 tiaras arrived among the wedding gifts. The first was the Gloucester Diamond Spike Tiara. Historic, long hidden from public view, each spike graduated with brilliant round and drop-shaped diamond collets in descending sequence. Intimate in scale, the smallest piece in what would become an extraordinary collection. She wore it sparingly. It appeared at the British Industries Dinner and Dance at Grosvenor House in March 1939, and surfaces again in photographs from the early 1950s. Then, somewhere after 1953, it quietly disappeared from the record, overtaken perhaps by the Greek honeysuckle tiara made for Queen Mary, which seemed to suit her better as she moved through the later decades of her life. It has not been seen on a Gloucester since. It remains in the truest sense a missing piece. The second tiara was something else entirely. The Emerald and Diamond Bandeau is an Art Deco piece from the middle of the 1930s, sleek, architectural, built in platinum and diamonds. The central diamond element detaches. Worn alone, it becomes a brooch. The 2 flanking diamond elements detach as well. Clips, to be worn separately, repositioned, repurposed. And the central element can be replaced entirely, swapped for an Art Deco emerald and diamond brooch, a gift from the groom's siblings, so that the whole bandeau transforms, from all diamond severity to deep green opulence, depending entirely on what the evening requires. Princess Alice was drawn to the all-diamond version, the clean platinum line of it, uninterrupted by colour, sitting against her dark evening gowns with quiet authority. The emerald configuration appeared when the emerald necklaces came out. The current Duchess of Gloucester made different choices. The tiara format was set aside, worn once, twice, in all the decades since, while the brooches and clips continued to circulate quietly through her wardrobe. The diamond clips appeared on Lady Rose Windsor at her wedding in 2008, pinned alongside the Iveagh Tiara, and then, in 2023, the bandeau returned. After decades spent largely out of sight, and long enough for many royal watchers to forget it altogether, the Duchess of Gloucester brought the historic piece back into the spotlight at the state banquet for the President and First Lady of South Korea. The Pink Topaz Necklace and the Diamond Sautoir. It began as a brooch, a pink topaz brooch, the stone that is a warm, internally lit pink that sits somewhere between rose and amber, and a matching drop inherited from Queen Mary. In most hands, these would have remained what they were: a brooch worn to evening functions, a drop filed away in a case, 2 beautiful objects leading separate lives. Princess Alice looked at them and saw something else entirely. She took the brooch. She took the drop. She strung them within cascading collet diamonds, each stone set in its individual mount, the whole construction building into a necklace of such considered elegance that it required no further adjustment. It was finished. It was right. And it paired, with the precision of something planned from the beginning, though it was not, with the pink topaz stones set into the Gloucester honeysuckle tiara, the great inherited headpiece that she wore repeatedly through the 1950s and 1960s. In 1973, she lent it to her new daughter-in-law, then known as Princess Richard of Gloucester, for a series of portraits that appeared on the cover of Point de Vue. Birgitte has worn it ever since, not as a loan, as her own. It has become, across the decades of her tenure as Duchess of Gloucester, perhaps her most beloved piece, returned to again and again with the loyalty one reserves for things that have never once let you down. Princess Alice made it. It has never needed remaking. The other piece arrived as a wedding gift from an extraordinary consortium of givers: the Lord Mayor, the Court of Aldermen, the Bank of England, certain city banks, Lloyd's, and the Baltic. One imagines the deliberation that must have gone into selecting something worthy of such collective generosity. What they chose, and what Garrard, crown jeweller, executed, was a long Art Deco sautoir chain with pendant, built in diamonds, built for a woman who might wear it 6 different ways across a lifetime. The engineering of it is quietly remarkable. The chain breaks into modular sections, each detachable, the whole length reorganizing itself at will. Worn long, it is a sautoir of the most elegant 1930s proportions, that deep hanging line that Art Deco understood better than any period before or since. Shortened, it becomes a choker. Reconfigured entirely, it collapses into a 4-row diamond bracelet, dense and architectural, something worn close to the wrist rather than loose across a neckline. Princess Alice used it that way, wearing the pendant, wearing the bracelets. Whether this was a conscious decision or simply a preference that hardened into habit is impossible to know now. What is certain is that Birgitta has continued it. The sautoir worn as bracelets, the pendant kept in its case, the necklace in its longest and most spectacular form, unseen on either woman for decades. That is all for tonight. A royal who possessed a fabulous collection of jewellery, yet remained so overlooked that many people hardly know about her today. Tell us in the comments which jewel she wore during her lifetime that you think has lived on most beautifully in her portraits. But before that, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating royal jewel stories.